been a while. Week off, turn to another week, turn to a month. We're back now. It's all in the past.
Hell yeah.
It's been a lot of football happening since we're gone, so not going to be able to cover it all today.
Yeah.
But we'll cover kind of, I guess, playoffs so far.
Yeah. It's been an incredible playoff so far. Wild Card weekend was crazy. Divisional round was a lot of blowouts, but still crazy things happened. You had the Bengals completely blowing out the Bills. With Damar Hamlin in the stadium, which we hadn't even talked about. We haven't talked about Damar Hamlin on the podcast once. But
yeah, it's
been a while.
It's been a while.
But yeah, we saw like a very upsetting ending to the Bills, kind of like what was supposed to be this Bills storybook season, but didn't really work out for them. The Bengals completely dominated up front, surprisingly, having 60% of their offensive line out, which really just blew my mind. I didn't expect that to happen at all. And then the Bills just laid an egg on offense because the Bengals' defense is that good and that well coached. Lou Anarumo is one of the best D coordinators in the league. Not getting any head coaching opportunities somehow, but yeah, I don't know. It's been a wild ride since we last talked to you guys. But let's see what else happened. The Giants got blew out. They got completely out-talented by the Eagles.
Well, why don't we talk about the first round of the playoffs to start?
Let's do it.
I mean, we had a divisional matchup to start off playoffs with the 49ers and Seahawks, and the game was close for a while, but
Niners pulled away.
Yeah, once after halftime, it was just game over.
Yeah. Niners kind of just switched into that different gear.
We have yet to see the decline of Brock Purdy as well.
Nah, not yet anyway. I mean, today we're recording this on Sunday. It's championship weekend, but yeah, we have yet to see his downfall, which is very surprising for a fucking 7th round rookie.
Sure is.
Insane. 3rd string quarterback going into the season. But yeah, I think the Seahawks, like, it was impressive, like, them keeping it close, and they were able to score points on that defense early in the game, which was incredible. But the Niners defense is known for their second half adjustments and their second half play this season. It's been a story of their second half performances, so we just kind of saw that.
And you kind of saw it come into effect, all the young players with no experience for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
No playoff experience, no real NFL experience either.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of rookies who stepped up this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had the most rookies started in the league this year. And the reason why the Seahawks were much better than a lot of people expected was Geno Smith looked a lot better than people expected. He was one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And then you had all these rookies playing out of their mind. You had Tariq Woolen on the defensive side playing like a veteran corner, and then you had Ken Walker on the offensive side. You know, it's not unprecedented that we see.
But not just that. I mean, you had Abraham Lucas at right tackle, had one of the best rookie seasons of any tackle in the league this year. Charles Cross played well on the other side at left tackle. You had Kobe Bryant in the secondary. There's players everywhere.
Yeah. It was really impressive what Pete Carroll did this season, and I'm surprised he wasn't even I don't even think he was a finalist for Coach of the Year.
He was not.
But I thought that was very interesting because he pretty much revived a career of a backup quarterback, former higher draft pick with Geno Smith, completely revived his career, and then he had
high second round.
Yeah, and then he had all these rookies playing like vets, and he's not even like in the discussion for Coach of the Year. They made the playoffs and lost to the team that would be in the NFC Championship. So I don't know. I think that's interesting. I thought he should definitely be in that conversation, but A lot of good coaches this year, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at Brian Dable. You could look at
Sirianni.
Nick Sirianni. You can look at Doug Peterson.
Yep.
You can look at
Those are
Kevin
all valid.
O'Connell.
All valid. But, impressive shit that Pete Carroll did. I don't think he got enough love this season, in my opinion, just in general.
No, but moving on.
Oh, yeah.
We had the, third largest playoff comeback in NFL history?
Something crazy like that, and it was done by our boy T-Law, the guy we've been, kind of talking about all year. It was really, really cool to watch.
Chargers stink. They need to get rid of Brandon Staley. I've been saying it all year. I'm becoming more and more confident in it.
I think they ran for like 3 yards in the second half. How are you going to rush for 3 yards in the second half and you're up 27-7? That makes no sense to me at all. But
he just got completely outcoached.
yeah, especially in that second half. Yeah,
completely.
Yeah, I remember the Jags. They just adjusted formations when they started to crawl back in that game. Offensively, like they literally just adjusted formation. They're doing a lot of like 2x2 stuff on offense, which means 2 receivers on one side, 2 on the other, and then they switched it around and they ran trips a lot, and they got the Chargers kind of just out-schemed, out-coached, and they didn't have a single answer for it on defense. And then the Chargers offense couldn't put the game away. They couldn't run the ball at all when you have Austin Eckler in the backfield, which is crazy to me. But
Austin Eckler to me is a system guy. When the offense is operating how it normally is, he's going to produce. But if the offense isn't doing anything, he's not the guy that's going to elevate your offense. He's not a Derrick Henry or a Nick Chubb or a Christian McCaffrey or a Saquon Barkley. He's just a system guy to me.
No, I would agree with that, but it's just crazy that you're a playoff team and you can't run the ball at all and you can't close out the game at all. Like you were up 27-0 at one point and you still found a way to lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is insane to me. Like I wasn't really on the train that Brandon Staley should get fired, but after that it's just like holy shit. They did fire Joe Lombardi, their offensive coordinator, who took a lot of flack from Chargers fans all season long. So
yeah, and you typically see that before the head coach gets fired. Teams having trouble, whether it's on offense or defense. You'll usually see them scapegoat the offensive coordinator and try and fix it that way to save the head coach's job. But that's not always the issue. Look at the Panthers last year. They fired Joe Brady, and were they any better without him? No.
Yeah, but either way, I think they're going to stick with Staley for this upcoming season. If they were going to fire him, they would have fired him by now. They would have been in the head coaching search. So he's got another year, maybe half a year. We'll see what happens next season, but who knows? Maybe the offensive coordinator was the change that they're going to end up needing. But they have a really talented young quarterback in Justin Herbert, so as long as they can continue to build around that. And in my opinion, I think what the Chargers got to do this offseason, they have to get a receiver that could actually stretch the field vertically. And when I say that, I mean with speed. They have Mike Williams. They have Keenan Allen. But
Keenan Allen's just kind of a reception machine, and Mike Williams is more of a contested catch guy. They don't have anybody.
Yeah, you have
who can throw on the afterburners.
You have a good veteran receiver in Keenan Allen, who's a great route runner, but he's not going to really beat anyone deep at this point in his career.
And he's getting old now, too. Who knows how much more he has left in the tank.
Yeah, and then you got Mike Williams, who's just a possession receiver, and then you got a bunch of guys who could be on a practice squad and could be starters.
I mean, Josh Palmer has shown promise, but that's not...
Yeah, they need a splash play. Like, in terms of, like, a really, like, fun, speedy weapon to really stretch the field vertically, because that's, in my opinion, that's a big reason why we haven't seen Justin Herbert be able to really like operate like a high flying offense or like a high operating offense. So I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see.
well, anyway, Dolphins and Bills.
A lot closer than expected for sure.
A lot closer than expected, especially when you're seventh round, third string quarterback, kind of like the 49ers, is playing. Skylar Thompson started that game, and he played well. Skylar Thompson was the guy I was expecting to be Brock Purdy this year. You know, if he got the opportunity to play, I thought he would be what Brock Purdy is.
Yep.
Essentially. And he wasn't bad by any means. I mean, he was a lot better than most seventh-round rookies you're going to see, but just Brock Purdy playing so well just overshadowed his play. But we came out of this game with questions about the Bills.
Yep, totally.
Like, what's going on here? Like, why, if you keep playing like this, you're not gonna go anywhere. You're gonna lose next round, and
especially with the Josh Allen turnovers in this game. Like he kind of gave the Dolphins a second life in this game. They should have been able to close it out with less stress, if that makes sense. But Josh Allen with the turnovers, he's been doing it all year, and then they still win, but it left a lot of question marks for sure. And honestly, personally, I didn't really think it was going to matter that they almost lost to the Dolphins. You know, I figured it was a divisional game. It's in the playoffs. You know, kind of shit just happens. You had a seventh-round rookie kind of play out of his mind in this game, quite frankly. And then
no, I'm with you there. I didn't think it was too much to worry about, but there were questions.
Yeah, for sure. Like, definitely enough to make you pause a little bit about the team. But I thought they would be able to play the Bengals in the next round and get a win. But Joe Burrow keeps doing it.
Yeah.
But impressive stuff from the Dolphins this season. You know, it sucks without Tua, and we don't know what his future is going to even look like with the concussions that he's sustained this year. And I don't know. Like, they have so much potential in terms of, like, a young team, and they have weapons on weapons, obviously, on the offensive side. But the quarterback position is kind of in limbo right now with Tua's injury history, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that front office moves forward, because I'm not really sure if Tua is the guy moving forward, not from a talent perspective, not from an on-the-field type of perspective, because he played phenomenal this year. He was in the MVP discussion at one point.
Just from an
injury
perspective.
And he's a young player, too, and we're having question marks about a quarterback not being able to really have sustained playing time, which is crazy, but it's just unfortunate. I'd love to see Tua, like, you know, have long-term success, but I don't know if that's going to happen, unfortunately, with all the concussions.
Well, we'll see. Anyway, Giants surprised a lot of people.
Yep.
By knocking off the Vikings first round. Just a well-coached game by the Giants, and why Brian Dable should be Coach of the Year.
Absolutely.
I mean, with that roster, it's a miracle.
It's an absolute miracle that they were able to get a playoff win. That is absolutely insane to me. And they faced a very, very good, you know, overall roster in the Vikings. The Vikings defense sucks, and they had sucked all year. And Daniel Jones had probably his best performance all year against this defense. So I guess that's not much of a surprise when you look at it from a, you know, coach versus coach standpoint. You have Brian Dable and Mike Kafka calling plays against one of the worst defenses, one of the worst coach defenses in the league. But in terms of, I don't know, that Giants team, like, felt special to me. Like, the way that they were able to just, you know, the Vikings were, what, they went 11-6, or they got 11 wins? I'm not even sure. I don't even know what their final record was, but
I think they were 14-3.
14-3?
I believe so.
Jesus Christ.
13-4.
13-4. Okay, 13-4. So that's, I mean, we all know, like, the story about the Vikings and how they were in tons of close games, and they won every single close game that they're in, and every single game that wasn't a close game, they lost. They were literally, like, I don't know. It was everyone was kind of calling the Vikings frauds going into the playoffs because they hadn't beaten any bad team handedly in the regular season. So, I mean, I guess that gives you a reason to pause. But then, the Giants just kind of completely controlled and dominated that game. So,
yeah, but you got to remember,
impressive.
Kevin O'Connell's a first-year head coach, and
He is.
he took a talented team that always underperformed, and he brought them to 13-4 in his first year.
Yeah, 100%.
Nothing to be worried about there.
Yeah, not at all. And Kevin O'Connell's an offensive head coach, and the majority of problems that team had all season was on the defensive side.
Mm-hmm.
And they fired their defensive coordinator immediately after that game. So we're going to see some changes with the Vikings, but it'll be interesting to see how they move forward as well. People in the media love to question Kirk Cousins. Is he that guy? I think you could definitely win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins, especially with the weapons he has around him. You have probably the best receiver in the league playing with him. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, next game of the wild card round is the Bengals and Ravens. A lot of divisional games in the first round. Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3. I mean, only 3, but that's half the games. But this game was very close. It was a nail-biter. Kind of some bad decision-making on offense for the Ravens.
Yeah,
Bad
for
play
sure.
calling.
For sure.
And Bengals' defense was what won the game for him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you saw Tyler Huntley pretty much almost win them a playoff game, but they decided to do like a QB sneak on like the 2-yard line, and
Why not run it with J.K. Dobbins?
it doesn't make any sense to me. But he leaps into the air, tries to reach it over the goal line, and whenever you do that, that's just a very fucking risky.
Bro wants to be Cam Newton.
And then they punch the ball out, and then I think what's his name, Sam Hubbard.
Was it Sam Hubbard or Trey Hendrickson?
It was Sam Hubbard. I know it wasn't.
98-yard fumble return touchdown.
Nobody was catching him. Mark Andrews, it looked like he was going to catch him, and I think he got I think he just stumbled. I don't really know what happened, or did he get blocked? I don't remember.
I wouldn't call it blocked, but he had some obstruction to his running path.
But that ended up being the game-winning touchdown. That was in the fourth quarter, and there were no points scored after that. So that was the play that flipped the game. That's a 14-point swing. You have the Ravens about to score probably 7, and then the Bengals score 7 instead, just off that one play. So that was the game-defining play. That was the biggest play of the Bengals season so far, probably. So
yeah. On to the final game of the wild card round. It's the Cowboys and Bucks.
Oh.
Why don't you shed some light on this?
So the Bucks defense, we played cover 3 every snap, didn't try to disguise it at all. And the weakness in a cover 3 is the seams. And the Cowboys have 2 guys that can run up the middle on routes very, very well, and Dalton Schultz and CeeDee Lamb. And they just ate us up all day. And Tom Brady looks his age. And
that game was never close.
Yeah, not even a little bit. So, it was just a pretty terrible, terrible way to lose a fucking playoff game. But, we got completely dominated, outcoached, all of that. It'll be interesting to see what the Bucs do moving forward. And, yeah, that's all I got to say.
All right, so that wraps up wild card round. On to the divisional round. First game I predicted wrong in the playoffs was this Jaguars and Chiefs game. Jaguars almost came back, but they couldn't recover the onside kick at the end. And Patrick Mahomes was limping out there. He was getting carried on and off the field by his linemen. I mean, it's as if he needed one more thing for the commentators to praise him about.
Yeah, yep.
Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence is throwing perfect deep balls 50 yards downfield. And, he overthrew him. Like,
yeah.
Come on. Like,
it's a shame that the commentators are so biased in favor of Patrick Mahomes because he is, in my opinion, he's probably the best quarterback in the league.
Oh, without a doubt.
And
I think if there were any questions, because coming into this year, what was the debate? Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Look at how this year went.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I don't know. I love Patrick Mahomes. He makes every single game entertaining. He does crazy shit every game. And, I love to watch it, and I love to watch him. And he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in history, in my opinion, if he keeps continuing on this trajectory at least. But it's funny when Chris Collinsworth, and I like Chris Collinsworth, by the way, when Chris Collinsworth is, Patrick Mahomes literally throws the ball into the dirt.
No, it slipped out of his hand.
By accident. Yeah, completely by accident. And Chris Collinsworth calls it a hell of a play. And then Trevor Lawrence, who we both love, delivers a perfect deep ball that should have been a touchdown. And Christian Kirk drops it, and Chris Collinsworth calls it an overthrow.
The last thing you'd expect on a 50-yard pass is for the quarterback to overthrow him.
And he didn't at all. And Christian Kirk just dropped it. And, that was the story of the game for the Jags.
Jags just missed way too many opportunities. They had
fumbles in the red zone, dropped touchdowns.
They really could have won that game.
They definitely could have.
But they made too many mistakes.
And, Patrick Mahomes getting injured, it was probably a big part of that as well. But
that Chad Henne drive was also really important.
Yeah, for sure.
That was the difference in the game. They didn't have that touchdown on that drive. It's a tie game.
It is a tie game, yeah. And that was definitely the difference. I mean, we saw Pacheco on that drive rip off a massive run, and that was really cool to see. And then a nice little pick play. Travis Kelce gets wide open in the flat in the red zone. That's the end of that. Chad Henne played really well, but his depth of target was 3.7 yards or something like that. He was very, very conservative. I think the Chiefs' offense was very conservative on that drive for a good reason. And, I just think Andy Reid coached his ass off on that drive, and that ended up being the difference in the game, unfortunately. But, yeah, the Chiefs look good, even with the hobbled Patrick Mahomes. We saw him, kind of walking a lot better after a press conference this past week. So we'll see how he looks today. I'm really interested. I mean, yeah, he's 100% playing. I just want to see how well he could actually move. Because we saw it versus the Jags, a lot of the shit he did early in that game was he would escape out of the pocket, buy time, and then he would find Travis Kelce. Travis
Kelce, by the way, had 17 receptions in that game.
It was 14. He broke the playoff record. I think in general. I don't know if it was for tight ends or just in general. 14 catches.
Who knows?
Fucking insane though. Travis Kelce is. Oh my god! We know this, but he's been absolutely insane.
I had someone tell me that if Gronk came back and played right now, he would be better than Travis Kelce.
That's false. That's just false. I saw Gronk play for my team a year ago, and he was great. But Travis Kelce, he's just on a different fucking level, dude.
Superman.
And it's definitely between Gronk and Kelce for best tight end of all time, in my opinion.
You wouldn't throw Tony Gonzalez in there?
Gonzalez is in there, but I think at this point it's Gronk and Kelce in their league of their own.
Antonio Gates.
I think. Nah, not Gates. Not Gates. I think Gonzalez has an argument. I think Gonzalez is right outside of those two.
I don't know. You take Super Bowls out of the picture. I think it's a lot closer than it seems.
I don't know. I think
it's just
these are two guys.
I just think it's recency bias.
Yeah, it could just be two guys I've watched play. But
because
I don't know.
We were really young when Tony Gonzalez was playing. Same thing with Antonio Gates. I mean, there's there's tight ends I probably aren't thinking of right now that I've
Shannon
never
Sharp.
watched play.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp is one of
supposedly up there
them.
too. I mean, I'm not qualified because I haven't seen all of them play, but I think.
Yeah, I think what it is just recency bias.
Yeah, most likely. And also, tight ends are used much differently now than they were back then.
Oh,
as well.
definitely.
So, like, Kelsey and Gronk, if you look at their stats, I think both of them are just statistically superior to any other tight end. But, then again, they're used in a much more modern and different way than the other guys were. So
Yeah, so
it's interesting. It's an interesting debate.
Giants and Eagles. Eagles came in with some questions, and they answered them real quickly.
Yeah, I had a lot of questions about the Eagles because they had the first round bye, so we didn't get to see them play in the wild card round. And the last time we saw the Eagles play, they barely beat the Giants, who were playing, not barely beat, but they struggled against a Giants team that was playing their backups. And I thought Jalen Hurts was a lot more injured than people were letting on. So
what's weird to me is his injury was in his shoulder.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing the commentators talking about the throwing was never the issue, it was the running.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
It
was a shoulder injury, right? Yeah.
It was, but they kept saying, like, he hasn't had an issue with throwing the ball. It's been running the ball.
I don't know. I have no explanation for that. But either way, he looked healthy. And that was my biggest surprise because I thought he was a lot more injured than they were letting on. And I thought the Giants had a legit chance to take this game because if Jalen Hurts was at 50%, then I thought their defense might have been able to take advantage of that. But, he was more healthy than expected. And, the Giants, unfortunately, their roster, I've been saying it all year, their roster is stripped bare of a lot of talent.
It's terrible.
It's terrible roster. Great coaching. And
but coaching only gets you so far. It's the players that got to go on the field and execute.
100%. And they just got completely out-talented. They faced probably, in my opinion, the best offensive line in the NFL in terms of straight talent. And they were getting blown off the ball 5-10 yards on run plays, and that was the end of that. Boston Scott scored a touchdown versus the Giants again. That was free money, so thank you, FanDuel, for that. Thanks for Noah for telling me the stat about Boston Scott as well versus the Giants. But, yeah, unfortunately, the Giants just couldn't do anything, and, it was a magical season for them, and the sky's the limit for them because if they made it that far with a roster like that, and they have a lot of assets to make that roster a lot better in the offseason, I think they can do some good things. So I'm excited to see the Giants moving forward, and I'm excited to see the Eagles play today. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we talked about this a little earlier. Bengals just dominated the Bills.
Yeah, that was insane.
Wasn't really close. Don't got much to say about it, really. It's just Bills disappointed this year.
Yeah.
And everyone wanted to talk about how the Bengals are going to struggle because of the Super Bowl hangover. And at the time, I wasn't sitting there disagreeing. I wasn't sitting there agreeing. I wasn't saying it was going to be the Rams, but I thought it was interesting how nobody was saying that about the Rams. I didn't see anybody saying, Rams are going to have a Super Bowl hangover next year. They're going to suck, this and that. And the Bengals lost a couple games early. Finished the year, I think, 13-4.
Yeah, they had a really good record.
Or no, 13-3 technically.
They won their division.
They won their division. I think they were 12-4. But it was the Rams that really struggled this year.
Yeah. I think in a lot of people's eyes, the Super Bowl run that the Bengals had last year was kind of like a fluke, and they didn't really belong there. And it was kind of just luck and energy and, all that shit. But they're proving again this year that they fucking belong there. And, Joe Burrow is that guy. He's doing really, really impressive things at a really, really young age, just like we saw Patrick Mahomes do a couple years back. It's honestly insane. But in terms of like how that game played out, it was really, really surprising. I had touched on it earlier, but they had 3 starters on the offensive line out. And that's why I thought that the Bills would win this game. And I didn't think it was going to be even close. I was very, very confident in the Bills winning this game. And the Bengals offensive line dominated. They dominated the Bills at home in the snow. Like, that is crazy. With 3 backups in. I don't remember his name. I think it's a rookie guard who, I think it was his first NFL start. I saw A.Q. Shipley, a former offensive lineman for the NFL. He was giving that kid a lot of love for how he played in that game, but it didn't make any sense to me. They were just completely dominating the Bills. Like, the Bills' defensive line, their front 7, their everything in the run game, and then Joe Burrow was able to capitalize off of busted coverages. We saw Jamar Chase wide the fuck open in the middle of the field, and that game was never close. Bengals dominated from start to end. And the Bengals look fucking incredible. And they're facing the Chiefs today. And I cannot wait to see how they try and guard Travis Kelce. I know they're going to be physical with them. And I know that they have the guys to cover him. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I think both of these games today are going to be a chess match. But I'm excited to see how far the Bengals could take this. And maybe they can get revenge for last year and win their Super Bowl.
So a little bit of breaking news coming from today. I don't know if you heard.
Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, it doesn't pertain to the NFL yet. But Stetson Bennett was arrested for public intoxication. Tries running from police. So the explanation here is 2-time national champion QB Stetson Bennett was arrested around 6 a.m. this morning for public intoxication after allegedly banging on random doors. Video shows Bennett attempting to run from police, but was quickly tackled in a way that would make TCU jealous. The arrest took place in Dallas. Bennett obviously won't find himself in serious legal trouble over a public intoxication arrest, but it's not the greatest news for a QB about to dive into the pre-draft process with little expectation of being a high pick. Bennett is set to go down in Georgia's history after helping power the program to back-to-back titles. Super Senior completed 68.1% of passes for 4,121 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions for the Bulldogs in his last season.
Damn.
Banging on random doors while drunk at 6 in the morning. What the hell is going on?
I mean, he's just having fun, it looks like. I can't blame him. Maybe from running from the cops, I could blame him.
Yeah.
But, banging on random doors, I mean, what are you going to do? Sometimes you just have a night.
Yeah.
And, yeah, as far as I know, this is his first, behavioral concern. He's never had, given that he's already 45 years old, he's pretty mature for his age, I'm pretty sure. But he's, I'm sure, for me at least, if I'm, if I'm planning on drafting Stetson Bennett in, a later round, that really doesn't concern me all that much. But, we'll see how that plays out in NFL draft boards and NFL draft rooms. It'll be interesting because it'll affect it for sure.
Yeah, so let's go over some recent news that happened. It's been a lot of news, so we'll go over the big stuff. Let's see, where do I even start? So, obviously the Chargers fired Joe Lombardi, their offensive coordinator.
Yep.
The Browns fired their... hold on a second. What the hell? The Browns fired their defensive coordinator.
Yep, they did.
Joe Woods.
They looked bad all season, that unit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
They sure did.
They have a good amount of talent.
Roquan Smith got a new contract, agreeing to a 5-year, $100 million deal to make him the highest paid linebacker in the league.
A lot of people saying that affects Lamar's chances of staying there.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I think if the Ravens want to pay him, they'll pay him. So.
Yeah, they'll find out a way.
Yeah.
Commanders fired their OC, Scott Turner.
Yep.
Jets fired their OC, Michael Floor.
Yeah. They brought in Nathaniel
mutually
Hackett.
parted ways. Which led to what's his name? Nathaniel Hackett.
Yep. Becoming
OC in New York. Byron Leftwich was also let go.
About time.
Greg Roman, Ravens OC, was let go.
I think that's a good move for the Ravens. I think Greg Roman's one of the better offensive coordinators in the NFL when it comes to scheming up run games.
Yeah, he's a great run game. He's great at scheming run games. That's why running quarterbacks like Lamar love it there. That's why
100%.
running backs love it there. That's why they have such a good run game.
That's why receivers hate it there.
They never get any free agent receivers because nobody wants to play there.
Yeah. But I think it was time to, if you are going to keep Lamar, I think it's a time to evolve that offense more of a pass first kind of way. And Greg Roman's not going to be the guy to, do that with. So I think Greg Roman's going to be a great coordinator somewhere else. But I think it was time for the Ravens to move on because Lamar has refined and evolved as a passer in a big way. And it's time for him to
showcase it.
Showcase it for sure, yeah.
Yeah, so the Dolphins fired their defensive coordinator, Josh Boyer. Let's see, what else? What else is going on lately? We got a lot of talk on where Aaron Rodgers is going to go, where Lamar is going to go, where Tom Brady's going to go.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins expected back with the Vikings.
Yep.
It's not really news, but it's more of a rumor. There's a lot of talk about Sean Payton making his return to coaching.
Yeah, but lately that hasn't been looking that likely.
Yeah, I mean, he did say, he was asked, out of 10, how likely are you to come back to Fox, basically? And he said, a 7.
7 out of 10, yeah.
So,
well, he wants everything perfect. He wants a quarterback. He wants this. He wants that. He wants that. And then also any team that wants to get him is going to have to give up a lot of draft capital for a fucking coach.
And he's looking to get paid $20 to $25 million a year.
That too. So
he's a good coach. He's a phenomenal coach, especially in the regular season. I hate him, but I've always respected him in a way.
We always hate.
I don't respect him as a person, but I respect him as a coach.
100%.
His veneers look stupid, by the way.
He's stupid. He likes hurting NFL players and trying to end their careers.
Yeah, but in no way, shape, or form does he deserve $20 to $25 million a year.
Yeah. I think the highest paid coach right now is Bill Belichick, but I think if whenever a coach gets paid, breaks his pay threshold, he automatically gets $1 million more a year, which is interesting. That's what I've learned throughout this Sean Payton process because they were talking about it on a show.
Wait, say that again?
So whenever a head coach gets hired and they get paid, let's say they get paid more than Bill Belichick's contract automatically elevates his pay to $1 million more than that contract. So basically Bill Belichick's contract guarantees that he will always be the highest paid coach in the league.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. He probably deserves it.
I think he makes $21 million a year right now.
Wow. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Panthers, they did not end up going with Steve Wilkes. They went with Frank Reich.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
He definitely was. If we're not gonna hire Steve Wilkes, he's definitely my second choice that's out there. He's a guy who. Well, let me start off by saying this. So, Steve Wilkes is a guy I wanted to to become the head coach. But I don't hate the decision not to hire him for a couple reasons. One, he's very conservative.
He is.
We've seen a couple games this year where his conservative play calling and his play style ended up hurting us and losing us the game. A lot of times we would punt it on 4th and 1, 4th and inches, like in that Bucks game. Tom Brady's not a guy you want to give extra possessions to. You saw playing for field goals rather than trying to score a touchdown during a couple games, like the Falcons. And the kicker missed his kicks. So he's very, his play calling is very conservative, and I there's just times where he can't make adjustments that are needed in the game. Like if a game starts off well, we're great, we're rolling for the most part. But if we start off slow, it's hard for us to get back in that game because he wants to be a ground and pound, hard-nosed team, run-first team. And when those teams get in a deficit, it's hard to come back from. Frank Reich, he's got a good track record with quarterbacks, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's worked with Peyton Manning a bunch of times, Phillip Rivers, just a number of guys who have had success in the NFL. He was a great offensive coordinator in Philly.
Yep.
He was a great head coach in Indianapolis with Andrew Luck. And once Andrew Luck retired unexpectedly to start the season, they had no other choice but to just pretty much throw Jacoby Brissett out there.
Yep.
Because they didn't have any other options. There's nobody in free agency. There's nobody. I mean, the draft already happened. And so that kind of screwed him over, so you can't blame the 7-9 record after that, or really even the year after Jacoby Brissett. But he had 4 years after Andrew Luck retired to figure out the quarterback situation, and he didn't. His first year in Indianapolis was Andrew Luck's last year. They started off 1-5, finished 10-6, and made it to the playoffs. Ended up winning a game. But then after Andrew Luck retired, all right, Jacoby Brissett, you're up. And then he's like, all right, we need to get something better this year. And I believe they went and got Phillip Rivers that year.
Yep.
They did well, made the playoffs, didn't win a game, but made the playoffs. Then after that, Phillip Rivers retires, and I don't follow the Colts all too much, but they didn't. I don't know what position they were in the draft, this or that, but Reich decided to make the decision to go and get Wentz, probably because he was cheap. Sort of cheap, actually. It ended up being a first-round pick. But Wentz is a guy he'd worked with in Philly. Guy he technically won a Super Bowl with, but not really.
Yep.
Guy he's familiar with. So he said, probably sitting there, I know this guy. Let me bring him in, see what he can do. That obviously did not work out. And then,
it worked out for a lot of that regular season. And then,
they had a chance to make the playoffs, and they just blew it against the Jaguars in Week 18.
They started really poorly, and then they go on a win streak, like a crazy win streak. They're beating good teams left and right. And then they lose to the Raiders the second to last week of the regular season, which would have gotten them in the playoffs. And then all they had to do was beat the Jaguars, who were absolutely terrible that year, to make it into the playoffs. And they didn't. And they finished with a 9-8 record. And it was a huge disappointment because I think a lot of people, including myself, thought that Colts team, if they were to make the playoffs, they were built to make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, that's a good Colts team. And he didn't really have a whole lot to work with in Indianapolis. I get he
No.
had Jonathan Taylor, but
Great.
Michael Pittman's still young.
Yeah.
He's still not really shown what we think he can do. And outside of Michael Pittman, there was really
Nobody. And they had a great run game, like great offensive lineman, great interior O-line, and everything like that. But when, like, it was Wentz and nobody, and when Wentz has nobody, and even with the good protection he had that season, you know, it's Carson Wentz. He's gonna run around and make fucking boneheaded decisions. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and so, you know, it kind of worked, but it's obviously it's a bridge thing. It's not anything set up for long-term success, and I don't think that was the plan. But after that, they took a look and said, all right, we need to get someone other than Wentz, because he's not, you know, it probably came from a higher position than Frank Reich for a lot of these.
Yep. The ownership in Indianapolis has a lot of control. Jim Irsay, like, he makes a lot of football decisions for whatever reason. Even though they have a good GM in Chris Ballard, in my opinion, I think he constructed a pretty decent roster the past couple of years outside of the quarterback position. And then, I don't know, like, I think Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, surprisingly has a lot of blame in this, because he is in like a win now mode, and they needed to develop a quarterback. They needed a long-term solution, and he would refuse to do that. It was one year starter quarterback, 1 year starter quarterback, 1 year starter quarterback.
Yeah, so they let go of Carson Wentz.
It's tough.
And then combined Jim Irsay wanting to win now with just a not very good quarterback draft class.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're stuck with Matt Ryan.
Yep.
Because he's a veteran guy, former MVP, he's had a lot of success.
Yeah.
But he's also like 37 years old now. And
we thought they were going to be able to rely on that run game too.
That's true. It didn't see the
before.
offensive line collapsing like it did.
Nope.
You know, so from the outsider's perspective, you look at that and go,
he finished with a winning record in Indianapolis.
That's
by the way.
true. But from an outsider's perspective, you look at that and you see, he always had a revolving door at quarterback, and there was this and there was that. But it's really it's not as concerning as it seems.
No.
And at the same time, you learn from your mistakes. So throwing darts at the dartboard isn't what's going to get you, not typically going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, it's not going to get you, like,
and I feel he has learned that. He's the first quarterback to ever play for the franchise of the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
He threw the first ever touchdown pass. He started the first ever game. It was... Yeah, I'm just not super concerned about it.
I like this hire. When I saw it, I was surprised because I didn't really know Frank Reich was in a lot of head coaching conversation.
I don't think he was, but he's a guy that definitely deserves a second chance.
For sure, and I do think he deserves a second chance. I was surprised when I saw it, and then I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Because I don't think he got handed the right cards in Indianapolis, and he did an incredible job in Philly, as we know. And, like, I think he's a pretty safe option when it comes to hiring a head coach because you know what you're going to get out of the guy. I think he's a great leader.
Very well respected.
Very well respected. He has ties to the Carolina community, as you just mentioned. Like, he's going to...
Yeah, his kids all live there. His grandkids all live there.
If he gets if the Panthers draft a quarterback this year and they commit to that and they commit to Frank long term, and I think if he has a real chance to, like, build an organization and a franchise and a team, I think he can do an incredible job. And he's an offensive coach. The defense is already pretty fucking solid. If they could somehow find a way to bring Wilkes back as a D coordinator,
it's not gonna happen. As much as I would like it, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Then yeah, But
that would be amazing, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but either way, like I think their defensive unit is, one of the better units in the league. And then if they can figure out the offensive side of the ball, develop young talent at the quarterback position, I think Frank's gonna have a lot of success. They just need to give him time, and I think they will, because he has a track record, and it's not really that bad of a track record. So.
Yeah, it doesn't concern me as much as it might seem from the outsider's perspective. But Steve Wilkes is another guy who definitely deserves another opportunity at head coach.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about what the Panthers are going to do in the draft. I just really, really, really do not want to see Will Levis in a Carolina Panthers uniform.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
I don't blame you.
I'm not a fan. I'll take Bryce Young. I'll take C.J. Stroud. I think Anthony Richardson is off the table, seeing that Frank Reich is here now. You look at his quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson's not really a Frank Reich type of quarterback. He's not really a pro-style quarterback like we're used to seeing with Frank Reich. So I don't see the Panthers reaching on Anthony Richardson because of the talent level, and I'm not mad about it. I'd like to see C.J. Stroud, or honestly just re-sign Darnold.
Yeah, and see what
Corral has, and give it another year.
Maybe they trade up though. Maybe they trade up and get Young. I don't know.
They could, but I'd like to see us stay put, and I'd like to see an edge rusher with the 9th overall pick, because we let Hassan Reddick go.
Oh my God, dude!
And
if I'm a Panthers or a Cardinals fan, I'm so pissed that Hassan Reddick's not on the team anymore.
You know how much he's getting paid in Philly?
No, I have no idea.
It's a 3-year, $45 million contract. That's not that much.
Nah.
We could have absolutely paid him. We could have paid.
He led the league in sacks this year, right?
No, he didn't lead the league, but
who led the league in sacks?
Nick
then?
Bosa.
Oh, he did? I know he was close. I think he had 16 and a half sacks.
18 and a half.
18 and a half?
For Nick Bosa.
Oh, I'm talking about Hassan. I think he had 16
Hassan Reddick was close. I mean, Hassan Reddick is just
he's a fucking beast,
I don't know how you just let him walk after last year.
I really liked him.
I don't know how you let Stephon Gilmore walk and re-sign Dante Jackson. We paid Dante Jackson the same amount of money as we would have gotten Stephon Gilmore for, and all to just watch Dante Jackson be on crutches every year.
Dude, I liked Hassan Reddick from the moment he came out of Temple, and the Cardinals drafted him. I'm like, okay, like this will be fun. And then he gets out of Arizona eventually, goes to the Panthers.
Yeah, because he didn't really play that well until the contract year, and they just decided they didn't pick up his 5th-year option.
Yeah.
They decided not to re-sign him. Panthers got him on a cheap deal. How do you not re-sign him if he's only commanding $15 million a year?
And then he goes to the fucking Eagles, who's the last team that needs any more pass rushers, dude. And he fucking leads the team in sacks. And oh my, like, I don't know. That's crazy to me. He's an incredible player. But either way, like, yeah, I think Reich is a good move for the Panthers.
I like it.
And you know what? I watched. I took the time to watch a little bit of Anthony Richardson yesterday, and I wasn't really like, just from what I had seen, like a little bit of like just like casually watching on TV of him. I didn't really like him that much. And then
I like the talent. I don't like what I've seen.
Yeah, and then but then I started watching him a little bit yesterday. And I think in terms of like pocket presence and manipulating defenders, he does some really fucking high level stuff. Even though he's not necessarily a polished passer, not necessarily the highest IQ quarterback by any means, but in terms of like pocket presence, like just moving a couple steps in one direction by a minute at a time, even manipulating safeties with his eye, he does a lot of high level shit. I thought he was a lot more raw than that. And then I watched him yesterday, and kind of fucking impressed, and now
It depends on which game you watch with him. Because there's game you watch and you're like, holy shit, that's Cam Newton. And then there's games you watch where it's like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Josh Allen was coming out of the draft, too. Like, Allen was like, dude, he had games where he threw 5 interceptions in college at Wyoming. Like, and then there was games where he looked absolutely incredible. It's interesting with these, like, the prototype now, because now we're not looking at, like, we are still looking at, like, the Joe Burrows coming out and the Trevor Lawrences coming out, but we're looking at, like, physical specimens to, like, really develop because of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And I don't know, it's interesting. What do you think of a lot of people have been comparing Josh Allen to Cam Newton recently?
Why?
Because since he lost in the divisional round, people have been kind of coming at Josh Allen, and they think it's a knock to say that he hasn't eclipsed what even Cam Newton did. But of course he hasn't eclipsed what Cam Newton. Cam Newton brought his team to a Super Bowl and won MVP.
So for all you who aren't familiar with Cam Newton was a guy starting back at Auburn, right? And he brought an Auburn team to the national championship and won.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that Auburn team was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Cam Newton is the only player on that Auburn roster that had any sort of NFL career. I mean, there were a couple guys who got drafted, but nobody had any real career there. Let's just look this up real quick. Let's look up this roster. So you had Cam Newton at quarterback. Okay. And then you had, hang on one second. So here's some names. Darvin Adams, Darren Bates, Tisharvin Bell, D'Angelo Benton, Mike Berry, Emery Blake, Mike Blank, Cody Burns. But instead of reading all these, let's just go down and see if there's one name that I recognize. Okay, so nope. D Ford.
Yep.
AJ Green, but not the receiver. Different AJ Green. Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. That might be it.
That's it. I mean, there was nobody. That team should not have been close to the success it had.
Yeah.
And he just completely elevated the team. This is the starting lineup. I just found the starting lineup. So Cam Newton at quarterback, Mario Fanon and Ontario McCaleb at running back. Halfback, Sean Kitchens. Wide receiver 1 was Darvin Adams. Wide receiver 2 was Terrell Zachary. Tight end, Philip Lutz-Ken-Kirchen. Offensive line was Lee Ziemba, Mike Berry, Ryan Pugh, Byron Esom, AJ Green. Edge rushers, Antoine Carter, Michael Goggins. Interior D-line, Nick Fairley, Zach Clayton. Linebacker, Craig Stevens, Josh Bynes,
Darren Bates.
I think Josh Bynes might have played a little bit.
Yeah,
He sounds familiar.
A lot of these guys probably played a little bit. At corner, Demond Washington, Nico Thorpe, safety, Mike McNeil, and Zach Etheridge. So D Ford wasn't even a starter at the time.
Yeah, and then you look at his MVP season where they didn't almost win the Super Bowl, but they were in the Super Bowl competitively, and that, especially offensively, that roster was not impressive.
I mean, the defense was definitely impressive, but what Cam Newton worked with to create the best offense in the league.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like Devin Funchess.
So here's the
I think Kelvin Benjamin was out that whole season.
Yeah, here's the starting lineup for the Panthers in their Super Bowl year. So you had Cam Newton, Jonathan Stewart, who was getting old at the time.
Yeah.
Corey Brown, receiver. Ted Ginn Jr., who was 32. Tight end, Ed Dixon, and Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen was hurt for a good portion of the season.
Yeah, and I think Olsen was really their only real deal weapon.
Yeah, he was. Absolutely. Michael Orr, Andrew Norwell, Ryan Khalil, Trey Turner, Mike Remmers. So the offensive line was sort of decent.
It was pretty good.
You had Charles Johnson and Jared Allen at edge rushers. You had Star Latuile and K'Wan Short, interior defensive line.
They had a great front seven.
Yeah, Shaq Thompson, Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis.
Yep.
And then in the secondary, you had Charles Tillman, Josh Norman, Roman Harper, and Kurt Coleman.
Tillman was at the end of his career.
So, it shows stats
punch.
here too. So Jonathan Stewart's stats for the year: 989 yards and 6 touchdowns. He also had 16 catches for 99 yards.
Who's the running back that they had behind him that year?
Behind him?
Yeah,
I'll let you know in a second.
Because I remember he was kind of a part of it too. Or maybe it was their fullback. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll let you know in a second. But so then the receivers, Corey Brown, 447 yards. Ted Ginn Jr., 739 yards. Ed Dixon, 121 yards. Greg Olsen was over 1,000 yards. And then who were you saying for running back?
I don't know.
Cameron Artis-Payne.
Yeah, I remember him. Artis-Payne.
Yeah, he was a guy also at Auburn.
Yep. Yep.
It's just.
Yeah, no, he didn't have a lot of talent to work with.
We also had Brenton Burson, who, by the way, is like the worst receiver I have ever seen play in the National Football League. Like, he was terrible that year. Jericho Cotchery.
I remember him.
Who was 35.
Yeah.
Devin Funchess, who was hurt all season, I believe.
No, that was Kelvin. Kelvin didn't play that season. I'm pretty sure.
No, Kelvin Benjamin didn't. Devin Funchess was hurt for a good number of the season. He was also a rookie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he... Back to what we're saying is, if you're not familiar with Cam Newton, he's a guy who took an Auburn team with nothing and won a national championship. He's a guy who constantly took a Panthers team with a great defense and a terribly constructed offense and just elevated that team so much.
Yeah.
He helped evolve. I mean, he paved a path for all these running quarterbacks now. It's just he did a lot of great things and he gets a lot of hate and I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean he was fucking insane. Like, he was so good. And people don't remember that. So when people on Twitter are coming at Josh Allen and calling him Cam Newton as a knock or comparing him to Cam Newton, thinking it's a bad thing, I don't. You just don't remember prime Cam Newton, like the NFC South remembers it. But yeah, like it sucks with Cam because obviously like his prime should have been extended, and he didn't do all that he should have been able to do.
Would have been able to
do if it
Thanks,
wasn't for
TJ
TJ
Watt.
Yep. So
fucking piece of shit. Fuck you, TJ Watt.
So it's
I saw a guy. There's like a top 10 edge rushers list for this year, and TJ Watt was at like number 6. And then someone was like, "Oh, dude, the TJ Watt hate is crazy." I'm like, "Bro, he didn't play 10 games."
Yeah. No, I mean,
he played 7 games this year. Like to have him at 6 is
insane.
crazy.
It's insane. And yeah, he's a great pass rusher.
He is, but I don't like him.
I understand. I understand. If that happened to me, I wouldn't like him either. But it's like Cam Newton was fucking incredible, and he did more than Josh Allen has done in his career. So, yeah.
I mean, so Josh Allen is how old now? 20. How old is Josh Allen? 26. Okay.
26. Yeah.
So
makes sense.
Josh Allen was also drafted when, like 5 years ago now. It was 2018.
Yeah, he got extended not last offseason, but the offseason before, I believe.
But he's 5 years into his career. Cam Newton, 4 years into his career, was in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. It's just a little conversation that people have been having on Twitter recently. I thought it was an interesting comparison, because there's a lot of talk about when it comes to Cam Newton. He was a physical freak, just like Josh Allen. But right now he's done a lot more to elevate his team than he had done. He had done more to elevate his team than Josh Allen has so far. So it's an interesting conversation when we talk about Josh Allen, because he could easily have a career similar to Cam Newton's at this point. Like, his career could get cut short at any moment, because he's just like, he plays like Cam in terms of like,
Cam wasn't even running when he got injured.
Yeah, like Josh Allen's lowering his shoulder into linebackers, almost on a per game basis. So when we talk about, like, Josh Allen being a potential Mount Rushmore quarterback, it kind of gives me a little pause at this point, because, and it's not necessarily like he's a great player, but when it comes to how he plays the game, I don't know if it's sustainable long term. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Hopefully he can. I would love to see Josh Allen win a Super Bowl in his career, but
I love Josh Allen.
I like him a lot. I think he's a great guy, and that Bills team is just fun in general. But it's unfortunate they just got fucking murdered by the Bengals. But everyone thought it was going to be Josh Allen and Mahomes in the conference championships, battling for the AFC every year. But right now it's Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. Every single year that both of those guys have like started and finished the season, they've been in the AFC Championship. Joe Burrow in his rookie year, he got a season-ending injury. Patrick Mahomes didn't play his rookie year. Outside of those 2 years in both of their careers, they've played each other in the AFC Championship. Not played each other, but Patrick Mahomes has been in the AFC Championship every single year since then.
Yeah,
and then
it's gonna
same
be
with Joe Burrow.
It's gonna be a new Peyton and Brady.
That's the big conversation piece right now. That's the future of the AFC, and it makes sense. It makes sense.
Future, it's the now.
It's the now, yeah.
Ain't no future.
Well, I'm talking about like 10 years from now, like they'll still be battling it out. It'll be fucking. I love that, because those are really two young, talented quarterbacks going at it. And I can't wait to see them play today.
So, what do you think about these games coming up?
Oh my God, I've been thinking about these games all week, trying to figure out like who I think is gonna win. And I was telling this to Steven earlier. Like, first of all, it was so fucking hard to pick these games in my head. Just because of how evenly matched I think they are. You know, the Chiefs are probably the most, like, well-oiled offensive machine in the NFL. Like, very, very, very efficient. But then their quarterback is hurt. How hurt, I don't know. Like, we're going to see today, like, how well he can play. In terms of, like, physically, like, moving around. If he wants to sit in the pocket and, and do it that way, I think Mahomes is perfectly capable of doing so. And if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be him, because he's the type of guy that doesn't necessarily need, like, perfect passing mechanics to give perfect, accurate throws. Just because he's such a physical talent. But then again, he's facing a team that's beaten him, or Joe Burrow's beaten him 3 times in his career, once in the regular season last year, once in the AFC Championship last year, and then once in the regular season this year. And what happened when they played earlier in this season was the Bengals kind of just had a day versus the Chiefs in terms of running the football. And that game, Joe Mixon wasn't even in. It was Samaje Perine all day, completely just dominating the Chiefs' defense. And it's very interesting because we saw the Bills get beat that way last week, with the Bengals just completely dominating them in the run game and then building off of that for their offense. And when Joe Burrow was passing the ball, he was absolutely perfect. That being said, in those 3 matchups, the Chiefs have led in those games by 14, 18, and 7. So at a lot of points in those games, like, it was very, very, it was a sweat for the Bengals. These weren't easy games by the Bengals. These weren't dominating performances by the Bengals by any means. They had a 21-3 comeback versus the Chiefs last year in the AFC Championship. But my question lies with the Chiefs. Like, will the Chiefs be able to stop what the Bengals did to the Bills last week? Like, do they have, like, the personnel and the scheme on defense to prevent that? I don't know, and I don't think so, because the Chiefs' defense is very, very young. That defensive line has a lot of talent, but if the Bengals are running the ball like they were last week, even with 3 of their starters out on the O-line, I don't know if the Chiefs really have much of a shot in this game with an injured Mahomes. So it'll be very, very interesting, but my brain is telling me to pick the Bengals. However, my gut is telling me to pick the Chiefs because of how much shit the Bengals have been talking. So, I don't know. What do you think? Yeah.
I think the Bengals.
But that's my pick, is the Bengals. But I don't know, something about, like, the fact that Eli Apple has been super active on Twitter, and, like, the Burrowhead thing, like, people calling Arrowhead. I don't know, like,
Eli Apple's always a fucking.
They're giving
active on Twitter.
It hasn't just been Eli Apple though. Like, it's a lot of the Bengals players, like, and then the Chiefs players are clapping back. I don't know. The Chiefs have a lot of bulletin board material, I guess, and that's, like, from what I could tell from, like, the New Heights podcast and, like, just, like, seeing interviews of the Chiefs players, like, that's definitely a bulletin board type of team where they know how to use that and use that as a chip on their shoulder. So I think it's going to be really close, but I'm going to still choose the Bengals.
I'm going to go with the Bengals as well.
Yeah.
Like I previously said. Don't really got any reason for it. Just think they're going to win.
Yeah. And then we move on to the Eagles-Niners.
Oh, this one's an easy one.
Yeah, update.
Elijah Mitchell groin is ruled out for today's game.
Elijah Mitchell's out for today.
Is always fucking hurt.
Yeah.
That's becoming a guy who's a little injury prone.
Yeah.
But it's all right. They have McCaffrey.
They have McCaffrey. I think Elijah Mitchell almost lose him the game last week, but
Made a big problem.
he
Ran out
he
of
left the door
bounds.
open. He left the door open for it. Yeah. So that was interesting, but he's out for today.
Can't do that this week, so
Yeah, no,
I think
shit, dude, this is gonna be.
you know everyone's saying, oh, like if Dak didn't throw those interceptions, yada yada yada. Like, I don't care. Like, I think the Niners defense are going to keep them in the game regardless. I don't think, in my opinion, I think the Cowboys defense is better than the Eagles. Not by much, just a tad. But I don't know. I think as long as McCaffrey and Debo and George Kittle, long as they are healthy and playing, I think the 49ers are going to win.
Yeah, I'm on your side here. I'm going to go with the 49ers, but I think they got to – I don't know. Like, this is good on good, like, great on great in every capacity. You have, like, maybe the best, most well-constructed roster in the NFL in the Eagles. Like, and then you have maybe another insanely well-constructed roster.
I don't know. There's definitely an argument for the 49ers to have a better roster.
And then, but I don't know. Like, in terms of talent, I think that the Eagles' offensive line is better. But I think in terms of scheme and how they're used, I think that the Niners' offense is better, or offensive line is better. So, it's gonna be a really fucking good game. And like, the Niners' offensive line is going up against a 70-sack team. They had 70 sacks in the regular season. And they have 3 guys in the double digits when it comes to sacks. They're going to have to run the ball really effectively to like keep those pass rushers guessing. You can't have those guys in obvious passing situations. And you got to, in my opinion, you got to attack downfield early if you're the Niners, because if you don't, that secondary is full of ball hawks. Like, you have CJ who leads the league in interceptions. He's going to be probably playing the middle of the field a lot. Have a lot of matchups with Kittle. And then you have Darius Slay and James Bradbury, probably the best corner duo in the league. And if they're just kind of dinking and dunking down the field, I think you'll see the secondary kind of sitting on a lot of those routes and ready to pick off the 7th-round rookie they're facing. So you got to keep them guessing. Like, you have to keep them on their toes. Otherwise, it could turn ugly. But I think that the Niners will do that. I trust in Kyle Shanahan. Like, I do trust in like his ability to call a game and scheme guys open and get one-on-one matchups. Like, I expect to see Christian McCaffrey used in the passing game a lot, because if there's any weakness to the Eagles defense, it's going to be the linebackers. That their defensive line is incredible and their secondary is incredible. Their weakness is the linebackers. It's not a glaring weakness by any means. They're not bad. But I want to see Christian McCaffrey get those matchups. I want to see Kittle get favorable matchups against linebackers. And, yeah, it'll be tough, and it'll be a really fucking close game. But, yeah. And I think if any defense is going to completely shut down the Eagles, it's going to be the Niners. They have 2 corners that have been playing out of their minds, and the Eagles have been predicated on those. Like, the Eagles offense has been all about the deep shots this season with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. But then again, the Eagles have a great run game as well, but the Niners have the best run defense in the NFL. So we're seeing like just great on great in every like matchup in this game. I do think the Niners have the edge, though. That was a really fucking hard game for me to pick.
I find it very easy, but I'm also biased.
Yeah.
I think Nick Sirianni's a little cocky fuck. And I think McCaffrey's just better than anyone on the Eagles.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Yeah, we'll see. I cannot wait for these games. And I'm glad it starts off with Niners, Eagles. Like, that's going to be a great way to kick it off.
Yeah.
But that game could be very well like very defensive, like just a slugfest.
It's gonna be like, I feel like it's gonna be like last week's game.
Yeah.
Cowboys. That was a defensive shootout.
Yeah. No, it was.
Oh, that was an awesome game to watch.
That was a great game last week, Niners Cowboys. But I don't know. It'll definitely be very close. And I think the Chiefs and Bengals, there's gonna be a lot of just energy. I feel like we're gonna see some fights. We're gonna see like some really like heated moments, and it's gonna be like close as shit too. So I think we're in for a treat today. I don't want to jinx it, but I knock on wood, I think we're in for like really good football today. I'm so fucking excited, dude.
Yeah, man. Have some fun.
Who do you think's gonna win it all? If you had to choose now, Caleb. He's getting up. He's walking to Steven, and he's taking his Niners hat off of Steven and putting it on. Caleb is with the Niners. I like it. I like it. Damn. Yeah. I don't blame you. I have no idea who's gonna win the Super Bowl, dude. We have like easily the best 4 teams in the league right now. Like these are the right teams to be in the 2 championship games. Like
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who do you think? Don't say I don't know. Quick. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Bengals.
All right.
I'm going Bengals. I think it's their year. But I don't know. But I'm going Bengals.
No, I said don't say I don't know. You can't say that.
I'm going Bengals.
All right. Cool. Steven? I think I know.
Yep. Steven's with the
I
Niners.
think I know where Steven resides.
Of course.
Fucking bandwagon.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is my first year liking the Niners.
Yeah, I started liking them like 2 weeks ago.
I hope they can avenge their Super Bowl loss versus the Chiefs
And the Ravens.
They've been very close in recent history.
We're due.
You're either hot or you're due.
Yeah.
That's been my saying.
And they're both.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
shit, you're right. I might have to change my pick.
We're hot and due.
Oh fuck.
Bengals aren't quite due yet.
Yeah,
Another
you're
year or
right.
2 they'll be due.
They'll be due. You're right. They're hot. They're hot as fuck.
But they ain't due.
Yeah.
Niners are both.
Niners are both.
What happens when you combine both? We'll see.
We'll see for sure. I don't know.
Let's hope
dude.
it doesn't cancel out.
Brock Purdy, I think he'd be the first rookie quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Start and win a Super Bowl.
Wait.
I believe so.
But no, the guy on
let me.
the Rams.
I don't.
made a movie about him, right?
I think there's.
Kurt Warner?
Yeah, wasn't he a rookie?
No,
not
he
the
was
year he won the
undrafted.
Super Bowl.
He was undrafted.
Okay.
No wait. I think there has been a rookie
I don't know. I don't think
QBs to win Super Bowl.
I don't know if there's ever been a rookie.
Let's see.
There's been rookies who have had playoff success, but I don't think they've ever won a Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. No rookie QB has ever taken his team to a Super Bowl.
That would be crazy, especially the last pick in the draft type of rookie, the third string quarterback type of rookie, who had to have 2 injuries in front of him to start type of rookie. But
Wait a
fuck.
minute. No rookie has ever taken their team to the Super Bowl. However, 2 players have won the Super Bowl in their first years. Oh, okay. No, that's
Just
first year starters. That doesn't count.
Yeah, backups.
Yeah. Never been done.
Yeah, they're in uncharted territory right now. But if Purdy he's had turnover-worthy plays, and yeah, you know that as well as I do. But if they can minimize that, and he's been playing fucking well. Like he operates that offense, I think, better than Jimmy G.
I mean, turnovers happen.
Turnovers happen, 100%. Like, but I'm saying, like, just overall, like, he has operated that offense this season way better than Jimmy G.
Yes.
Way better.
Absolutely.
And Trey Lance, too, but we didn't really see much of him. So, it's going to be fucking interesting. Like, we're in uncharted territory with this Brock Purdy kid. I wonder, how old is he?
Devout Christian.
He's a devout Christian?
God-loving boy.
Oh, boy.
Like,
I think he's 24, 23. 23.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's 23. December 27th, 1999. He's less than 2 years older than me. And he might be playing in a Super Bowl.
Wow.
That's crazy.
the one problem that he has, and that I've noticed over the past few games, is that whenever a defense forces him to roll out to the left, that's where he's in the most trouble. That's when he's been in the most trouble.
When he rolls out to the left.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, we've seen him make really incredible plays, like, off script, too. Like, at the same time, like, we've seen him, like, I think it was in the Seahawks. I don't know if it was in the Seahawks game where he was like, he had a rollout because of pressure. He, like, spinned around, blah, blah, blah. And then he found his receiver in the corner of the end zone, but he dropped it. Yeah. Like, we've seen him do that, too.
Yeah.
But to his left, you're saying, is where he's vulnerable.
Yeah.
I mean, if any
sure to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, because if any team's going to be able to do that, it's going to be the Eagles. Probably the best pass rushing, definitely the best pass rushing team in the NFL. So
I think that's going to be the biggest weakness today. I think the Eagles are going to force him to do that.
yeah,
And then we'll see. I mean, I'm sure he's been practicing it and adjusting to it over the
I'm
last
sure.
couple weeks.
That's interesting. It's always interesting to me. Like, I'm not an NFL quarterback or anything, but anytime I've ever played football, it's easier for me to roll out to my left than my right.
really.
Yeah.
And you're a righty.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That is weird.
I can throw a ball rolling out to my left almost better than I can throw it just like stationary.
That's weird. That's very, very odd.
Fucking hard to do.
Because rolling out to your right, you have
You can go outside and I'll prove it.
more. No. I know what you're saying. I've played football with you. I like rolling out to your right. You would think you have more like torque and better. You know what I'm saying? With your right side of your body,
Arm angle.
with the arm angle and everything.
No.
That's interesting. I don't know. Dude, I can't fucking wait for these games. I just can't.
Well, with that being said, I think we're going to wrap up this week unless
Yeah.
anyone else has anything to add.
No.
Sorry we been gone for so long. It's been a busy month. Kicking off the new year. Andrew's been getting arrested left and right, so
You know me.
he's anytime we've been trying to record, we've just had to go bail him out.
I got caught with a strap a couple times.
All right, let's put that down. Let's not get ourselves arrested again. But yeah, so thank you guys for listening. Hope you all enjoy football today.
And make sure to have fun, you beauties.
What the fuck?